Davey Boy Smith and Company. But we had a question come in from @dgreen5630 with the hashtag #AskBook. He said, do you think that Eric Bischoff should be inducted in the Hall of Fame? I feel like we've talked about this before, but as a part of the NWO, I think that he should have gone in as part of the NWO.
No, I don't.
Why?
Reason why, I mean, Eric Bischoff is very creative. You know what I mean? He did a lot of great things. Like I said, Eric Bischoff was one of the guys who said, "Book, I'm gonna make you a rich man. Just stick with me." And I'm like, my phone's going crazy. And I'm like, yeah. And the thing is, I've never had nothing but good things to say about Eric Bischoff. You're never going to hear me say anything negative about Eric Bischoff because, you know, he believed in something. He believed in one thing, and that was making all professional wrestlers, you know, as just as high paid as football players and all other entertainers in all other genres. He actually said and told me that, and I was like, wow, man, that's pretty cool. Very, very commendable. He did a great thing for the boys. But on the other hand, I always thought when Eric Bischoff stopped running the company and became a star on the show, I think that was the beginning of the end. I think it was no way he could actually manage or micromanage, you know, the company from a perspective, you know, hindsight, outside looking in. It's no way when you're in the middle of it and you're having so much fun. Man, you're out there, the people are going crazy for you. Man, huge pops every week, you know, and I just thought that was, you know, the recipe for the disaster and the demise at the end of the day for WCW. I just don't, you know, and people can say, well, Vince McMahon, you know, he played a part in the company. Well, it was his money. It was his company. Eric Bischoff was hired to do a certain job. And I say the same thing about Vince Russo. Vince Russo was hired as a writer, and he wrote himself into the show, you know, so.
Put the title on himself.
Well, when stuff like that happens, it's almost like me working at Reality of Wrestling. I had a match, you know, just a few weeks ago, and the match was booked to actually get two of my young guys over, and actually one of them over even more so. I end up losing that match. We put the girls at the end of the night and made them shine even more. When you start literally going into business for yourself, and you're the guy who's running the company, it reminds me of every one of these indie promoters that's never worked in a big company, that's never drew a house or anything, but they got an independent company, and they're booked themselves the champion of their own company. And that's what I saw with, you know, Eric Bischoff. He booked himself, you know, in a high position on the show when I just did not feel like he should have ever been a part of that show from that perspective, NWO or not. He created it. That's as far as it should have went.
And here's the thing. I see what you're saying there. And I agree with a lot of it. But even as, let's just take him as a creative and not as a performer, as a guy who had a vision for a company, who had a vision to get the guys to get more money, and who took a company that was losing money to the biggest company in wrestling, beating the incumbent WWE for the 83 historic weeks that we hear about all the time.
You get no props for that.
You don't get any props for that?
No, you get no props for that. You're the boss. You're the
boss.
You're the boss.
So you should get all the props.
You don't go in the Hall of Fame for being the boss. That's just not the way it works. You know what I mean? If that was the case, you know, every NFL owner would be in the Hall of Fame.
Right, right.
That's not the way it works. I feel like that was a recipe for disaster, putting himself in the middle of the I always say, when I went to prison, you know, I was with a group of guys. It was like a whirlwind. It was like a vortex. You know what I mean? And once I got in, it was almost impossible to get out until that vortex stopped. Now, when the vortex stopped for WCW, WWE was buying the company. That's the moral to that story right there. So that's just the way I feel about it. Hopefully you guys out there can, hey, give me your opinions on it. You know what I mean? We'll put the video up, leave a comment, and we'll see where it go. But other than that, no, I do not think he should have got an nWo Hall of Fame induction, but I think I should. That's another story. Hey guys, we'll be back in a minute.